Which would you rather have? A picture of a cheeseburger or the real thing? The answer is obvious, right? You can touch this. You can smell it. You can even taste it. Delicious. Let's try another one. Which would you rather have? A video game on a virtual screen or the real thing? My name is Justin Lennox, and I'm the founder of Foxtail Games, and I'm here to introduce you to our newest product, Brave New World. It's going to revolutionize the way we look at both toys and video games. But first, let's talk about video games for a second. Do we have to wait for it? Let's find out. There we go. Video games have been around since the 1950s, and while they definitely look better now, the basic format is still the same. You, the gamer, exist only in the real world, and the video game exists only in the virtual world behind a screen. We want to break this barrier and bring video games into the real world with you. That's where Brave New World comes in. We've created custom toy game pieces that allow you to build your very own video game level with your own two hands. Once you've finished building your level, you hold up your mobile phone, and we bring the level to life in augmented reality. We've even designed Brave New World so that once you finish building your level, you can save it for later, which means you can take it on the go with you or send it to friends for them to try and beat. We're creating an experience that lives in the same world you do, so you can build it using objects around your environment. So, keep in mind, while this is a working prototype, everything you've just seen is a work in progress, and our designer is working hard to improve all of those designs. But even if you don't like our designs, you can redesign what we've made using objects around your environment, such as yourself or your dog. Now, it's a cool piece of technology, but it also has to solve a problem. So what's our problem? Well, first off, virtual video games have no physical interaction. There's nothing to touch and play with in the real world. But on the flip side, physical toys have no virtual interaction. They're getting left behind for newer, flashier mobile applications. So what's the solution? You combine them. You get the best of physical toy sets and virtual video games. We're calling this intersection between the physical and the virtual mixed reality. And of course, how do you make money off of it? Well, first off, we'll be selling the toy sets for $50 each. At a 50% profit margin, we'll gain $25 for every toy set sold. And of course, because we have both the physical and the virtual, we can also sell the virtual in-app purchases for $1, making 70 cents off of each in-app purchase. The first set will go on sale at the end of this year, and it will have all of the platforming functionality you just saw in that video. 6 months from then, we'll be releasing our shooter set, which will have additional functionality, such as shooting. Now, if you see this, you might think these are, sort of different. What if I'm a concerned parent who doesn't want my son or daughter to play a shooter game? Well, we're unique in that we can target both E for everyone and T for teen. If you buy the E for everyone set, you don't have access to the T for teen set. In this way, we're completely modular. And I'm sure you're wondering what the technology behind this is. On every single block, there's a specific pattern that our app looks for. Once it recognizes that pattern, it corresponds to a single individual virtual block and overlays it on top of the physical block. And there's some interesting IP associated with this. We're working with a law firm out of Atlanta to patent the technology you've just seen, the mixed reality 4D gaming technology, as well as potential future applications. Now, when I say augmented reality, who do you think of? Most people would say Pokemon Go. It exploded last year and quickly outpaced almost every single app on the App Store. But there's a problem with it, and I think you might be able to see it just looking in this photo. It's sort of just floating there, right? It doesn't look like it's part of the world. It looks like it's just drawn on top of it. We're calling this untethered augmented reality. And we fix this by anchoring the augmented layer onto something real. Now, we also have competitors who have moved into the space of the physical toy interacting with the virtual product. However, there's a couple of problems with this. First off, you have to buy this expensive peripheral that nobody really wants to buy. You also have to have a home gaming console to play it, so that's 2 steps there. In addition, there's no interplay between the physical and the virtual. That's why we're calling it a virtual vessel. The physical toy is a vessel for your purchase to unlock virtual content. You don't actually get to play with the physical toy in the game at all. With our product, there's active interplay, and you also only need a mobile phone. So, all of the advantages we have over the competition in the gaming space can also apply to augmented reality applications in education, architecture, or any other industry. Let's talk about the market. It's a $36.9 billion gaming and mobile app market that's growing at a rate of 6.6%. But we're uniquely leveraged so that we can also hit the $84.1 billion toy industry. And how's this broken up? Well, you have your casual gamers who are mostly older female. They will probably not buy the physical toys, but they will buy the in-app purchases. You also have your casual gamers who own at least one home video game console. They will buy the physical toys and the virtual in-app purchases. And finally, you have your hardcore gamers. These are the early adopters in the tech industry. They've already bought the Oculus Rift, the Vive. They'll be the first purchasers of our toy sets. And how do we reach them? One of the benefits of me being a software developer is that we've created our own marketing software that's been approved internally by Instagram, Facebook, and other social marketing platforms. We've already used it to get tons of followers. We are going to be on e-commerce websites, and we're attending events such as this to gather PR and press. We were just named one of the top 40 innovative companies in Georgia for this year, and we were a finalist in the South by Southwest pitch competition. How do we get there? We need to raise $300,000 in an angel round, which will get us to 17,000 toy sets sold at a monthly revenue of $200,000. Now, how is the $300,000 broken up? They're pretty much standard costs for any tech company. You've got design, development, management, marketing, and sales, but something unique we have is manufacturing that we're going to need as well for the physical product. And finally, I'd like to introduce the team that's actually building this. You have myself, Justin Lennox. I am a software engineer. I've worked at Apple, as well as a local Atlanta startup named Blovit. I've also launched a variety of independent mobile applications that have made it onto the top paid charts. We have Hejun Park working on modeling and design, Logan Yonke working as a developer, and finally, Tyler Pazuski, who's going to join us on stage right now, working on finance and operations. So thank you. Questions? Is this the questions portion?
So just looking at what you've set up here, how many variations in what you can do with that could there be? And how do you avoid gamer fatigue? In other words, people getting tired of building the same things over and over again.
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. A lot of people never ask questions about the game, so that's great. Basically what's going to happen is the toys you see here are just a small part of the prototype. The set that launches at the end of the year is going to have 15 to 20 blocks. You're going to be able to build levels as long as this tray, and you're going to be able to interact those with the other sets that we release as well. That's one of the main reasons we're releasing a new toy set every 6 months, is to combat that.
So two things. One, the toys themselves seem fairly simple. Is there something that prevents people from just using the building blocks that their kids have somewhere instead of your thing?
Yes. So the only way that this technology works is by specifically what we're patenting, which is the combination of the blocks with these detectable patterns that we've put on them. So there's no way to use Legos or building blocks without our IP.
Then the second question is one that just comes up every time somebody's talking about selling something through Amazon. They're asking for more like a 70% IMU. So are you able to make money at that level rather than, you're not going to get 50%?
Yeah, so initially, we're planning to sell it directly through our website. That's where we'll take our pre-orders and do a lot of our initial sales. As we move towards that, our current operating margins, 52% profit margin. So, I mean, even if we eat into that, we take off a little bit, we'd still be looking at, let's say, 30% profit margin. So,
how are the patterns different than a QR code?
So with a QR code, you're looking at a basic square barcode almost. Our patterns have features almost in every single millimeter of the design. So it leads to better tracking. With a QR code, it's more blocky. This has really, really specific vertices that our camera's looking and picking up.
So where are you in the patent process?
So we've just sent our rough draft over to Morris, Manning, and Martin, and they're reviewing it right now.
And has anybody done any research on previous artwork?
They've done a little bit of digging. They say that we have a good chance of getting the patent.
Where is Pokemon Go now? I mean, I heard everything about it when it first came out, but I haven't heard anything about it.
There is a significant user base still, but one of the things that Mike here asked was about gamer fatigue. And a problem with Pokemon Go is they couldn't find a way to capitalize on that. And because that happened, we've been able to, sort of think ahead about that, which is why we're launching the multiple sets ahead of time. So that it is a problem, but it definitely exploded, and they were able to capitalize and get a lot of money off of that as well. So.
And in terms of where the gaming world is going, I follow a fair amount of the virtual reality stuff and the various things people are using, virtual and real stuff at the same time using that technology.
Sure.
Which gets to some of what I think you're proposing here. So how does that play into this type where we're using on your phone versus, as you said, your main market is those people who are already doing a lot of the virtual reality stuff?
Right. So a large part of this is something that we had mentioned with the virtual vessels, in that the virtual reality headsets like Oculus and the Vive, they're another barrier to entry. You have to set up an incredibly expensive gaming rig to get that going. So not only do you need over $1,000 computer, you need maybe over $1,000 virtual reality headset. So just as an industry, augmented reality has a lot less barriers for the average consumer. So that's something that we have just entering into this space as opposed to virtual reality as a benefit to us. Now, as we're going into targeting the hardcore gamers, if they've already bought an Oculus Rift or a Vive, they're much more likely to buy something that's way less expensive, but is also still really cool in the next thing in technology.
Short question. Have you raised any money in the past? I see you got your goals, 300,000 angel investment. Obviously, for what percentage of the company? What's your valuation?
So right now we're looking at 2.4 pre, 2.7 post. We don't want to give up too much more than 15%. That puts at 11.11%.
You guys have done a good job. I've enjoyed listening to you. Thank you.